Hello Stampers, I got another super easy card for you today. A simple little birthday card that requires very little effort to make very cute. You're going to need to have the Stampin' Up! Stars punch in both sizes, small and large. You will need the Stampin' Up! Embossing folder lattice or something similar to that. I did use the Big Shot Stampin' Up! Lattice folder for my texture. You're going to need Tempting Turquoise paper, Melon Mambo paper, and white cardstock. So let's get started on this simple little card. I've gone ahead and I have punched out my stars with a large star punch and a small star punch, and I have gone ahead and run mine through the Xyron so that it'd be nice and easy to just go ahead and stick on my paper. This technique is called embedded embossing, and what we're going to do is we're going to just take our stars. You can use any adhesive that you want. I just prefer to use the Xyron since it's nice and easy and not very messy. And you're going to put your 3 stars just randomly on your card. Make sure they don't hang over the edges of your white piece of paper. I kind of made them in a little half moon design. Get those stuck on. And I know on the Xyron you have a little bit of residue. You can go ahead and rub that off. I like to get that off of there because it will gum up your embossing folder over time. Then you're ready to stamp your sentiment. And the sentiment is from the Stampin' Up! Bring on the Cake 2 set stamps. I'm using the one out of the second box called Happy Birthday, and we're going to color it in. And even though I have this clear mounted, just to make sure that it is straight, I have put it on my Stamp-A-Majig paper because, as you can see, it's still not even straight even though I have it clear mounted, to try to get them exactly perfect. Just stamp that in with Early Espresso or black. And then we're going to use our markers and color in those letters. And we're using the Melon Mambo marker, Tempting Turquoise, and Daffodil Delight. So just start coloring your letters, and when you're all through, we'll go ahead and emboss it. And when you're all through coloring in, make sure you got it nice and even with your markers. Then we're ready to put it in our embossing folder and emboss it down. This will make the stars adhere perfectly and become actually part of the paper. Be right back. Okay, you can see how our stars have become just completely embedded in our paper, making it like it was just made there to start with. A little tip when you're using the lattice embossing folder and it is the focal point of your card like this is, you want to make sure that you get it in the folder straight. As you can see, these little, the lattice part itself will show up if you don't have your paper cut exactly square or don't put it in the folder exactly straight. Okay, now that we've got that done, all we need to do is adhere that to our piece of Melon Mambo that has already been trimmed to 5 1/4 by 4 inches. I'm going to stick that down. This is going to have an 1/8 inch border if you use the measurements that I used, which were 5 1/4 by 4 for the Melon Mambo and 5 inches by 3 3/4 for your Whisper White. Now I have a piece of ribbon that came in the Celebration set that is exactly these colors and matches so well. So we're just going to put a little strip of it right across the bottom here. And I'm just going to adhere that on the back and a little couple places in the front. It doesn't have to really be anything really heavy duty to stick down this little ribbon because it's very thin. So just stick that across the bottom and wrap it around the back. You can see I could have had my sentiment up just a little bit higher in order to have the ribbon on there. Just pull that around. If you wanted to, you could put one of your little buttons that came in the Celebration pack that had this in there. This is called Ice Cream Parlor, and it came in a kit for Celebration. If you ordered $50 or more, you got this, the buttons, the paper, 2 different little Celebration sets. Now we're just going to stick that down to the front of our piece of Tempting Turquoise cardstock for our card front. Okay, now we're just going to put a few little embellishments, and what the embellishments are the smaller stars that I've also punched out of the same three colors: Tempting Turquoise, Daffodil Delight, and Melon Mambo. Just use some of your scraps for that. And this is a great time to use your little scraps of dimensionals also, because it doesn't take a whole one to stick these on. And if you just stick them in the same shape as the star, is what I chose. Now you may want to stick it off angle so that it shows more, or you might want to stick the colors on the opposite stars. I've seen it done several ways. This is a cased card, one that we did at our retreat hosted by Michelle Rahal of Savannah, Stampin' Up! Rep, who had a nice retreat down at Epworth, Georgia, over in St. Simons. And this was one of the cards that she had on display for casing. And what I'm going to do now is put just one of the tiny little rhinestones that Stampin' Up! Sells in the rhinestone pack in the center of each one of these. And these are the rhinestones from Stampin' Up! You can see they have 3 sizes. These are one of the new embellishments in this year's catalog that I have really enjoyed using. I'm going to use my little handy dandy tool that I had in the last video that's it's really become a lifesaver for doing this kind of thing. These already have adhesive on the back, so you could just pick them up. If you don't have a handy dandy tool like this, you can use maybe your paper piercing tool works well, or a needle, or a stylus. And just lay one of those on each one. They have enough adhesive on the back to hold those on. And you're all finished. That's your pretty little birthday card. Takes about 15-20 minutes to do everything. Get your punches out, get your big shot out, and get it made. And it's ready to go. I would put an insert in this so we have a nice writing surface. You might even want to, on the insert, you could put some more stars, or stamp it with one of your star stamps in one of these ink colors to kind of keep the embellishment going in a theme. Happy stamping!